The drama surrounding Justine Pissott didn't begin with a headline or a highlight. It began quietly, almost invisibly, with a contract most fans wouldn't even notice. It was the kind of move front offices make when they believe they've found a clever balance between opportunity and control, a developmental deal tucked neatly within the rules designed to keep a promising player close without fully committing to her presence. For the Indiana Fever, it looked like a perfect plan: low risk, minimal attention, maximum flexibility. But plans like that only work when the player involved accepts the role written for them. And this time, that assumption unraveled faster than anyone expected, because Pissott didn't arrive thinking like a long-term project. She stepped into the league with a mindset that immediately disrupted the script. At 6'4", with a shooting touch that stretches defenses and a confidence that refuses to shrink under pressure, she didn't see herself as someone waiting in line. She saw herself as someone ready now, and that difference in perspective between how the organization positioned her and how she viewed herself created a tension that could only stay hidden for so long. It surfaced in the most unexpected way. A routine media session, a simple question, the kind designed to produce a safe, predictable answer, a moment where most rookies lean into gratitude, speak carefully, and reinforce the system they've just entered. For a brief moment, it seemed like that's exactly where things were headed. Calm tone, composed delivery, acknowledgement of the opportunity. But then came the shift. Not emotional, not confrontational, just clear. She wasn't here to wait. She wasn't here to sit behind a system that limited her. She was here to earn a real spot, to play, to contribute. And just like that, the quiet plan became a public conversation. That moment changed everything. Because once a player states their intent that clearly, the narrative can't be contained. Fans begin to notice, analysts start asking questions, and what was supposed to be a controlled situation turns into something far more unpredictable. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just managing a roster, they were managing expectations, perception, and a growing sense that they might be holding back something valuable. The deeper you look, the more complicated it becomes. The decision to place Pissott on a developmental contract wasn't arbitrary. It was driven by numbers, by the rigid structure of a league that leaves little room for flexibility. Salary caps don't bend, and when a roster is already filled with key contracts, even the most promising talent can find themselves squeezed into limited roles. From a business perspective, the move made sense. It allowed the Fever to keep her within reach without disrupting the financial balance they had already built. But basketball isn't played on spreadsheets. It's played on courts, in moments, under pressure, and when a player proves, even in flashes, that they belong at that level, the logic behind those numbers begins to feel less convincing. Because every strong practice, every clean shot, every glimpse of her potential adds weight to a single, unavoidable question. Why isn't she playing more? That question doesn't stay quiet for long. It grows. It spreads through fan discussions, media coverage, even into the locker room itself. And the more it grows, the harder it becomes for the organization to maintain its original plan. Because what once looked like patience now starts to resemble hesitation. What once felt strategic now begins to feel restrictive. For a player like Pissott, the challenge isn't just physical, it's psychological. Being part of the team, training with them, traveling with them, preparing like everyone else, yet knowing that game time might not come due to limitations beyond performance. That kind of reality tests more than skill. It tests belief, and in her case, that belief hasn't wavered. If anything, it has sharpened. And that's what makes this situation so volatile. Because when confidence meets restriction, something has to give. Either the system adapts or the player finds a path around it. There is no sustainable middle ground inside the organization. The pressure is just as intense. Coaching decisions become more complicated with every passing day. Every moment Pissott steps on the floor and produces even in limited opportunities adds another layer to the dilemma. Use her now and risk running out of flexibility later, hold her back, and risk missing immediate impact. It's a balancing act with no perfect answer, only consequences. But the most dangerous element isn't internal, it's external. Because while the Fever navigate this delicate situation, the rest of the league is watching. Other teams see the same potential, the same flashes, the same readiness. And in a competitive environment, opportunity rarely stays unclaimed. If another franchise steps forward with a full contract, a guaranteed role, and the promise of real minutes, the decision could be taken out of Indiana's hands entirely. That's the risk that looms over everything, not just losing a player, but losing one who might have already proven she belongs. And if that happens, the narrative shifts completely. What was once a quiet developmental move becomes a missed opportunity, a case study in how systems can fail to recognize timing. Because timing is everything in sports, talent alone isn't enough. It has to meet the right moment, the right environment, the right level of trust. And when those elements don't align, even the best laid plans can fall apart. For the Fever, the path forward is narrowing. They can act, adjust the roster, create space, and fully commit to what they have in front of them. Or they can wait, hold on to the structure they built, and hope the situation resolves itself without outside interference. But waiting comes with its own cost. Because every day that passes without clarity adds to the tension, the speculation, and the possibility that control slips away. For Pissott, the situation is simpler, even if it isn't easier. She continues to do what she has done from the start: prepare, perform when given the chance, and maintain the belief that she belongs. And in many ways, that belief is already reshaping the conversation, because it forces everyone around her to reconsider the assumptions they started with. This isn't just about one contract anymore. It's about what happens when a player refuses to fit into a predefined role. It's about what happens when performance challenges planning. And it's about how quickly a quiet decision can become a defining moment for an entire organization. Because in the end, the system can only hold for so long before reality breaks through. And right now, that reality is getting harder to ignore. So what do you think? Should the Indiana Fever make the bold move and give Justine Pissott a full opportunity right now? Or stay patient and trust the system they built? Is this a case of smart roster management or a risky gamble that could cost them a rising star? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more deep, cinematic breakdowns of the biggest stories shaping sports today, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next.